Hey, check dig, you dig? So, it's cold out here. And for those of you that don't know, I am in the garage. So, it's a little cold. Anyway, uh, today, I'm going to leave my hoodie on because it's cold. Uh, today, I'm going to talk about step two. And let's do a little review on maybe we'll leave that off. Let's do a little review um, on step one. Okay, so we admitted we were powerless over drugs and alcohol, and our lives had become unmanageable. And there's two parts to the disease. Remember, it's the mental obsession and the physical allergy, and your disease starts in your mind. It starts with a thought. Now, once we choose, which it's free will if you've had any significant time of sobriety, it is free will to um, make that first choice to pick up drug or alcohol. Or, for life's sake, anything that might lead to death. You know, the Bible tells us that sin fully conceived leads to death. So, if we're having sex outside of a marriage, if we're lying, stealing, those things are going to make our lives unmanageable. And, you know, and, and once we've started, it can be hard. We can lose control. We can lose power. We can become powerless. Um, but the steps are talking about, drugs and alcohol, but you can tie them into regular life. So, step two is came to believe in a power greater than ourselves, and they're talking about God, that can restore us to sanity. And what's sanity? Sanity means, sanity means soundness of mind. All right? Sanity means soundness of mind. Okay? The opposite of sanity is insanity, which a lot of people like to describe it as doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Uh, and this is so true. And so, step two, I'll repeat it again, is came to believe in a power greater than ourselves that could restore us to sanity. So, something happened. What brought you? How did you come? What brought you to believe in a power greater than you that can restore you to sanity? Because on page 45 of the big book, it tells you the main object. It says the main object of this book is to bring you to have a personal relationship with a higher power who can solve your problem. And it goes on to say that, of course, we're going to talk about God. And I think the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous talks about God 263 4 times. It mentions the word God. So it's very clear on where the power lies and what can solve your problem. And so, in the early 2000s, the Surgeon General of maybe the world or just our country went on record stating that the 12 steps was the best method for anything you might be going through. Now, the reason being is because it includes God. Now, I still believe that the Bible is our best instruction manual for living life. It has everything in there. Anything we're going through, it has characters in there that are examples for us. It just has everything in there. But the 12 steps come from Scripture. So it was just them trying to reach alcoholics and addicts and simplify this process for them because, you could go digging into the Bible as an addict, but, we're different beings a little bit. We're still human, but we go digging into the Bible. It's not really specific about our disease. And And so we can get lost, and we can kind of scoff at it and say, oh, I don't need that, you know. But, you know, the 12 steps just simplified some scripture. You know, did they change scripture? No. They looked at scripture and they came up with steps. And they didn't reword scripture, but there are scriptures that tie to each step. And so they tried to make a dummy guide for an individual to gain a personal relationship with God. And so, you know, all along they're wanting to lead you to God. And they realize that God is the only thing that can solve this, and God is the only thing that can restore us to sanity. So, came to believe. What brought you to believe? What brought you to believe that a power greater than yourself could restore you? You know, what happened in your life? For me, it was time and time again, I tried different ways to solve my problem. You know, maybe I began to drink instead of use my drug of choice. Maybe I started to use drugs instead of drinking. Maybe I tried to date a woman that was clean. Maybe I tried to get in a relationship. Maybe I tried just rehab and I didn't go to meetings and I didn't work the steps and I didn't get a sponsor and I didn't pray and I didn't talk to God. I didn't open a Bible. You know, we tried it so many different ways. And, you know, the book even says it. It says we tried to find an easier, softer way, but the result was nil, meaning nothing. It had no results. Now, this is why step 2 is just as important as any other step, is because they're trying to get you to see the importance of relying upon something greater than you, God. Relying on something greater than you who has the power to restore you. And so that's what step 2 is about. Now, this step 1 and 2 are just decisions of your heart. Back in the day when AA first began, they put men through the steps very quickly. If one of the early founders would go to a hospital, because, you know, that's all they had back then was the hospital to detox, to get help from. And so the only people that were the hospitals that were able to go get that help were people that had money. So they didn't reach the bottom, the so-called rock bottoms, the ones that they felt hit a lower bottom than others. They didn't reach them till later on because they were on the street homeless and close to death. And now these guys in the hospital were too, but they had money to go into the town hospitals. So early on, if they went in there and a guy was just, I mean, he was hopeless and he had tried everything else. So when they came in there and said, hey, this is what's working for us, do you want to try it? And he had that first principle, willingness. And there's 3 principles, key principles in the 12 steps. And in life too, it's willingness, which unlocks the door to being honest and open-minded. And so that willingness had to come from within. That willingness had to come from within. No one else could develop it for them. So if that person inside that town hospital early on in AA was willing, they put him through the steps immediately. Hey, steps 1 and 2 are decisions of the heart. Hey, dude, or hey, ma'am, can you admit you're powerless? Can you admit that when you put one in you, that you lose all control? Yeah, that happens. Yeah, that happens. And your life becomes unmanageable? Look at you. You're in here. You're close to death. Yeah, I can't even manage my own life. I can't hold a job. My family fell apart. All these signs of unmanageability. So that was a decision of the heart. Yeah, I admit it. Yeah, I got these problems. Which brings us to step 2, came to believe in a power greater than ourselves. Yeah, I've tried it every other way. I can't do it no more. Yeah, what is this all about? That's another decision of the heart. Like, hey, okay, I surrender. I give it up because obviously I can't do it. So steps 1 and 2 are really decisions of the heart. And step 3 begins that first step towards action. And we'll talk about that in another video. So for a lot of us, an event or a jarring experience has brought us to that belief that something other than me or another human or a rehab or even a meeting has to have the power to restore me, because none of these things are working. And it's not until you come to have a relationship with God where you can start to be relieved and restored. And so that's what step 2 is. It's a simple decision in your heart to say, "Hey, I surrender. I can no longer do this. You know, I have to begin to rely on something greater than me that has the power to restore me." And who better than the person that created you, the person that knows every hair on your head? Well, I don't have too many, but nonetheless, he wove you inside. He knitted you inside your mother's womb. So he knows you better than anyone else. And so, once you take those first 2 steps, and then step 3 is going to be an action step where you try to turn it over to that higher power, God, every day. It's going to be difficult if you keep beating that dead horse and you keep telling yourself, I can do this, I can do this. Yeah, we can string together a couple months, maybe a year of sobriety by ourselves. But there comes a time where that obsession is just so overwhelming and we can't understand it, but we give in and we use because we think that we're going to someday gain control. But we never do. That's what makes us an addict. There's really not much left on step 2. Except just that belief, that faith, and that surrender to say, and be humble enough to say, I can't run this show anymore. I can't do it on my own. I can't do it on my own. And my sponsor and the people in AA or NA or NEA, they're great. My family's great. They're supporting me. Or maybe you don't have that. But they're all great. And they want what's best for me. But do they have the power to restore it? Do they? Can they hold your hand? Can they be there every waking moment and recover for you? No, they can't. And so that's why God's important in this process, in life, period. We have to have something we can rely on other than humans, because humans are going to let us down. And they don't have the power to restore us. And they don't have the power to keep us clean. So that's really all I have on step 2. It's a simple step. It's a decision of the heart. Do I believe that no other way has worked for me and that God has the power to restore me? Ask yourself that. Okay? I love you guys. Double mask up. Stay warm. Whoo! And, crawl before you walk. Crawl before you walk. If you've quit using or quit drinking, but you haven't put cigarettes down, take your time. I know these aren't good for you, but, take one thing at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. God will never give you anything that you can't handle. So when this tells you, to take the next step, listen. God will speak to you. All right. I love you guys. This video is 14-15 minutes. I said it wouldn't. My videos would be 5 or 6 minutes from now on, but they're not. So anyway, this is KB, aka Ryan, and I'm signing off. And I'll be posting my video soon. I don't know when. I don't know when I'm going to create this whole thing again, but hopefully it helps everyone. Double mask, stay warm, and keep praying. Love you. Deuces.